Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, the Labor Minister accuses F&M leaders of hindering Hurricane Matthew relief efforts.
Youth, Sports and Culture Minister Dr. Daniel Johnson again voices his support for a national lottery. That story straight ahead.
The DNA rolls out a brand new slate of candidates. That story is coming up straight ahead.
And we take a quick stop in Chub Key. Welcome to our news. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight, the political sparring over hurricane relief efforts continues. This as Labor Minister Shane Gibson accuses Free National Movement Deputy Leader Peter Turnquest of making irresponsible statements regarding the government's hurricane relief efforts. Gibson told our News Today that he feels both Turnquest and F&M leader Dr. Hubert Minnis are actually slowing down the disaster relief process instead of helping. Simone Davis has the story.
I read with interest a press release from Peter Turnquest, where he is calling into question monies he is attributing to me, saying was spent for repairs, for the cleanup exercise in Grand Bahama.
Right.
Right. I'm going to have to put him down on a list of persons who make irresponsible statements.
Gibson was responding to a press statement released by the F&M deputy on Sunday, where he accused Gibson of saying that Grand Bahama Minister Dr. Michael Darville spent near or over $1 million to help with cleanup efforts on Grand Bahama Island in the weeks following the passage of Hurricane Matthew. Turnquest continued, saying this is evidence of the government's disregard for transparency when it comes to the people's monies. But Turnquest also called for Darville to reveal the details of how much money was spent and what it was spent on. Well, Gibson said he's baffled that the F&M's leader and deputy leader would seek to undermine the efforts of the entire country by making what he dubbed reckless statements.
It is unfortunate that Peter Turnquest and his party would seek to undermine the efforts of the country, of individuals. First of all, without basis, without any information, just saying things that sounds good and makes for a good sound bite. He's now jeopardizing the entire country. He is trying now to discourage persons who would normally donate to the hurricane restoration effort from donating. That's what he's trying to do, both him and his leader.
However, the Labor Minister said Turnquest is not the only one making irresponsible statements. He said opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis also made recent comments without doing a fact check first.
His leader made an irresponsible statement about NEMA only purchasing from PLPs in Andros. I wrote his leader, the leader of the opposition, and asked him to please provide me with the list of these individuals who we bought from, who are PLPs, the list of the F&Ms that we didn't purchase from.
Gibson claims he wrote letters to both opposition leaders regarding their comments and statements and has yet to receive a response.
I wrote him last week. It's almost a week now. He has not responded to me. I also put this challenge out to Peter Turnquest. Please be more responsible. Do not jeopardize this restoration by talking nonsense. I had him for a sensible man, all right? And hopefully I could continue to look at him as a sensible man without making irresponsible statements, trying to undermine the efforts of an entire country for selfish political gain.
Reporting for our news, I'm Simone Davis.
Thanks, Simone. Well, Youth, Sports and Culture Minister Dr. Danny Johnson is renewing his support for a national lottery. His comments come weeks after the issue was raised in the House of Assembly, with some members of both sides of the political divide insisting a national lottery could help defray enormous costs associated with natural disasters. Our JASMIN Brown tells us more.
Johnson says he was happy to hear that the idea of a lottery is once again in the national discussion. Johnson's long-standing support of a national lottery has been no secret. In 2014, he said a national lottery could inject significant amounts of money into the sports industry. He reiterated those claims today.
National lotteries all around the world, of course, assist on many fronts. The main thing, my big interest has always been in for sports programming, for cultural programming, for education, for national development, for youth development. to pool your resources.
The issue was raised in the House of Assembly earlier this month by Fort Charlotte MP Dr. Andre Rollins, who suggested a national lottery be established to help cover the cost of hurricane damage. Tourism Minister Obi Wilshcombe agreed, saying the time has come for the government to consider introducing a national lottery. The estimated cost of the damage caused by Hurricane Matthew is $600 million. Johnson says with the frequency and intensity of storms increasing, a national lottery is the best way to help fund consistent relief and recovery efforts.
You have to get it wherever you can, but make sure it's sustainable. And so some of the efforts we've seen in this enterprise all around the world is one way of raising sustainable funding over long periods of time.
Johnson went on to say he plans on lobbying the issue with Prime Minister Perry Christie.
As you saw, the Prime Minister has mentioned that he will take a look at it again as to what that means, and as usual, he has my support. I think it is, and I think PM's on the right track with thinking about it. But of course, it goes to the to the various boards, to the stakeholders, and to the Bahamian public to see what it is we could do to fund ourselves into the future.
But members of the Christie administration aren't the only ones voicing their support for a national lottery. Last week, F&M Chairman Sidney Colley said the opposition would fully support a national lottery. Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, Democratic National Alliance leader Bevan McCartney says he too supports the idea of a national lottery, stating that he was one of the first politicians to come out in support of the notion.
From our inception, from 2012, if you go back to our vision 2012 and beyond, you see that we spoke about the implementation of a national lottery. And recently it was brought up by the government, and certainly we would support that notion. If they don't do it, they have 6 months to do it. If they don't do it, when we become the government in 6 months, we're going to do it.
McCartney says he actually agreed with Labor Minister Shane Gibson when he said a national lottery should not be managed by the government.
This government can't oversee it, or any government, but independently, where we have different accounting firms and what have you that could oversee it, as opposed to we as a government, when we become the government in DNA, we won't be the persons overseeing it. We would certainly engage different firms to oversee the management and running of a national lottery.
Well, speaking of the DNA, the party today announced 5 more of its candidates for the 2017 general election. GIORGIO STURRUP reports.
The Democratic National Alliance ratified 5 new candidates today, and that's for Southern Shores, Centerville, Fox Hill, Golden Gates, and North Abaco.
Ain't nobody crying. Ain't nobody worried.
Hoping to defeat Prime Minister Perry Christie in the constituency he's represented for decades, DNA candidate for Centerville constituency Sealy Moss said he grew up in the area and he knows exactly what the people need.
If the Guinness Book of World Records was given an award for the lousiest MP in the world, Perry Christie's representation would win hands down. Regular Monday to Friday constituency office hours to serve your needs, strong commitment to inner city job creation, aggressive lobbying for the creation and sustainability of small and medium businesses in the inner city.
Then there's businessman Ethric Bowe running for Southern Shores. He said while that constituency will be his main focus, if elected, he'll be pushing for a cause near and dear to his heart.
Let's get together. Let's get together and make handguns legal and permissible for all persons who qualify. And I'm hoping that most citizens of the Bahamas would qualify. We need to be in a position where at least we're not sitting ducks.
I will work along with our educational system and bring life to learning by implementing an e-book system. I want Regatta back by the Green Turtle Key Dock and the Treasure Key Airport to be revived with more flights.
Rudolph Dean, who once supported the Progressive Liberal Party, said he can no longer stand aside and see the problems of the country continue to grow.
Today I pose a question to you. What's up? I will tell you what's up. Crime, unemployment, poverty, income inequality, social problems, business failures.
And hoping to bring change to the constituency of Fox Hill is Kendall Smith.
And while our so-called leaders are busy playing the game of pride and profit, more and more often we as parents
have the daunting and unbearable task of burying our children. Politics is not a game. The future of our children is not a game. The governance of this country is not a game.
Reporting for our news, I'm GIORGIO STURRUP.
Still to come, trouble at the Bahamas Red Cross this morning as people line up for food and other supplies. Plus, this as Atlantis makes a hefty donation to the organization. You're watching our news. Stay tuned.